Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me virtually today. For our today's discussion, we're going to be talking about motivating and engaging your particular members for your club or organization, hosted and brought to you by us, your leadership consultants. Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us virtually today. We are going to be discussing how to motivate and engage your members for your particular club or organization. So sit back, and if you like what you see here today, brought to you by us, your fellow leadership consultants, definitely know that our Office of Student Leadership and Involvement has an entire YouTube page dedicated to resources to help you revitalize your clubs or organizations, especially in an online world. We also have our social medias. We have our Instagram, Facebook pages, RAM Connect as well. So definitely feel free to check out those resources as well if you like what you see. So I just wanted to get started and do a little bit of a background about me before we really get into the content pieces. My name is Michaela. I am a fourth year communication studies major, contemplative studies minor. I'm the acting leadership consultant for all Greek letter organizations on campus. I am myself an acting member of Phi Sigma Sigma sorority, and I'm also the vice president for the Student Government Association. So now that we got some intros a little bit out of the way, I just wanted to outline and give a couple of details about what the content is going to look like for this particular session. So definitely feel free to skip around, pause certain points if you need to take notes, and depending on what you feel to pertain is the most important to you and your particular club or organization. So again, getting started with the content pieces. So today we're going to be talking specifically about this concept of creativity. So basically coming up with really fun and interactive ideas to get your members engaged, to avoid Zoom fatigue, and really make them want to actually be on Zoom with you all in the first place. Second piece of content is really learning how to give compliments to your members. So it's talking about the importance of recognizing people for their accomplishments and their achievements and what they're doing so far, and really recognizing how crucial that is in an organization. We're also going to discuss two more pieces of content, which will be empathy and organization. So you may look at those two words and really not see any similarities, but when it comes to really strengthening the bonds of an organization and ensuring that members are engaged, I promise you, empathy and organization go hand in hand. So with empathy, it's just encouraging you as an executive board to have helpful and open communication, dialogues, as well as a clear, concise, organizational, long-term planning system set in place. So things like action items, goals, things that we'll really get into the nitty-gritty as we move forward and how these things just kind of go hand in hand. And then we'll wrap up with some key points to take away with you all at the end of the day. So let's begin. Let's discuss some really effective ways to motivate and engage members and really talk about the specifics and fun, really awesome ways to do that. So I think the million-dollar question that you definitely all should consider as an executive board when really trying to help your members stay motivated and engaged is what is going to keep everyone coming back time and time again. I think you definitely understand, probably as a college student that it gets super exhausting having to stay on constantly for classes and meetings and other priorities at the end of the day. So, why are we choosing to stay on Zoom for our own club and organizational meetings? So that first piece that we're going to be talking about specifically to answer this question, again, there's many ways that you could answer this, but I think the first piece would be really making time for fun. So getting creative, taking time away from business and more of the organizational side of things, and really just scheduling some time for team bonding and building is really essential and something that we're going to really flesh out and talk about within the next couple of slides. Also practicing gratitude. So this is going to be something that's really important just for your organization in particular, is learning to promote feelings of joy and happiness, which I think we could all use a little bit of right now considering the circumstances going on in the world, and really just encouraging your members to follow suit and practice this. So the final piece that we're going to be kind of discussing in relation to keeping people coming back time and time again is learning how to highlight your members and compliment them. So we're going to learn about check-ins. We're going to learn about just really how to schedule those times to recognize people and what you should be recognizing your members for moving forward. So that first piece, like I talked about, having and making some time for fun, absolutely taking a break from the business side of things, like I said before, from the organizational standpoints, from the things that are less fun, could be more considered boring, is absolutely essential for your members. I think scheduling time, just like how you would for regular meetings and scheduled events and maybe guest speakers or some of the other things that you really have going on, I think it's just as essential to schedule time for moments of fun and team bonding and building and just knowing how integral this is for members and their development. It can involve, like I said, fun team activities and icebreakers and really ways to get people involved and really getting to know each other on a more one-on-one basis. Um, Through this, I would absolutely suggest, if I could give any piece of advice, is definitely for you as an executive board to try to get as much input from your members as possible. I think more than anything, they want to be involved in this process, especially if you have any new members, any first year students that are just really looking to get involved in this process. You can definitely take turns, as we'll see within some of the icebreaker ideas that I demo in the next couple slides. So why are we going through all this effort to make sure that we're having fun? So I think that you can definitely answer this question in a couple of different ways, but I think one of the most important aspects to answer this question is it really allows everyone to get to know each other better on a more personal level. So I think you can definitely get to know people through business, through goal setting, agenda items, and things like that. But I think even more so, you could also do the same for playing games, activities, really getting to see different sides of people, especially in an online environment. I think that's important now more than ever before. I know us leadership consultants, we would always take a break in the very beginning of our biweekly meetings. We would do demo a game or an icebreaker activity. And a lot of us, I found, were very competitive and crazy almost to a certain extent. So you wouldn't find out those things, I feel like, unless you played activities and games like that. It also gives members a chance to take a break, which I think is very essential as well. Again, we are on our phones and our laptops on a consistent basis throughout each week, periodically, and I think we have already experienced burnout from the fall, from the past semesters, but especially for this spring semester, we have to do everything we can to really avoid Zoom fatigue and actually do something that is fun. And we'll talk about more ways to do that in the next slide. Again, you're also working towards building stronger relationships and motivating your members to keep coming back time and time again, which again is answering that $1 million question of how to keep people engaged so that they'll actually, really react to the content, but also just want to build those stronger relationships in the process. And overall, when you schedule times to really have fun, when you get creative and you start thinking of fun ways to really get people active and motivated, it shows that you care as an exec board. And I think that will earn you instant credibility and it will create a sense of respect between you and your members that is really important to have. So I talked about all of this fun stuff, all these activities that you can do, but what are some actual examples, you may be wondering? So we're going to go over some icebreakers right now that are super, super fun and effective tools that I have found have worked for me personally. So here are just a couple ideas that really just managed to scratch the surface. But the first one that I have is a movie night. So potentially trying something like Netflix Party, Disney Share, Hulu, other streaming platforms and services I know have been super fun. I was watching Bridgerton with a couple of friends of mine. Again, a couple of just other movies that are Disney related. You can really do anything. So I think that it's a really great tool and you can potentially share your screen, just create a really chill, informal night for members if you see fit. Again, something that I'd love to do is personality tests and quizzes. So it's a great way I have found to really get to know each other better as members and as people, what your leadership styles are. You could do like a Myers-Briggs test. You could do true colors assessment. What I'd really love is BuzzFeed quizzes and even making up my own quizzes with me and some of the members. It can get really creative and just a super fun way to connect. Another piece I have found is having member nights. So even with a movie night or personality quizzes, you could also apply this as well. So you as an exec board don't necessarily have to take all of that pressure to try to come up with a bunch of activities and icebreakers and things for your members to do. You can get input from people and nominate a member every other week or each week that you have one of these icebreaker/fun sessions. And you can nominate them to pick a particular icebreaker or activity or game that they would really love to do. So if it's things like Among Us or something that is one of their favorite movies, just depending on what they see fit, definitely make sure as an exec board to get people involved, especially first year students or, newer members. Again, it's a great way to really get them involved and staying active. Something else I've also found has been incredible is PowerPoint nights. I've absolutely loved this with my friends in particular. It's just allowing people to, come up with the most random things that they have inside their brains and to do an entire PowerPoint dedicated to that. It's pretty incredible, some of the stuff that I've seen that people come up with. One of my personal favorites is an example from my best friend. A couple of weeks ago, we were doing a PowerPoint night, and she did this, which was an honest review, rating the free bread restaurants that I frequent, which I thought was pretty iconic and amazing, and I loved. And it really brought a lot of opinions out of all of us and a great conversation starter as well. So definitely feel free to pick people to do PowerPoints. It's something super fun and really just shakes things up a little bit. Again, feel free to utilize us as an office of student leadership and involvement and us leadership consultants as a resource to you all. We are trained on over 100 games plus activities, icebreakers, team bonding activities, anything that you can think of, you name it, we have it. It's all archived. We have tons of Google Docs, things that we could send you and work with you on to really build those connections. Super fun. So just keep us in mind for more resources. So games like I Spy, Never Have I Ever, we have all the directions, everything listed for you all to utilize as you go throughout the semester. So again, now that I've talked about that big piece of really taking time to make sure that you're having fun, I also want to discuss the importance of gratitude as well. So again, just like how you're taking a break from business and crazy organizational practical stuff by taking time to have fun, I think you should also be doing the same for gratitude. Again, like I was saying before, I think it's hard now more than ever before to really survive in this crazy, crazy world and unprecedented times that we're living in. So again, things like gratitude, I think, are essential to promote. It really highlights a sense of joy and optimism for people. It's a very cathartic experience, I would say, and it always makes me feel more appreciative for the things that I have. And it doesn't necessarily require a lot of time. I don't think it's any crazy commitment. It could be super simple acts of just kindness and compassion and just a little bit of reflection, just to even think to ourselves, what's one thing, what is one person, what is, one event or place that really holds a lot of special meaning to us or something that we're just super grateful for. So just kind of asking ourselves those kinds of questions. We're also going to be discussing in some of our other videos for the series about the importance of self-care, but I would say that expressing gratitude and also really promoting it for members is an act of self-care. You are taking the first step to be reflective and to really appreciate the things that you have in your life, which I think is a great way to do it. So what does it look like? So gratitude can be definitely demonstrated in a couple of different ways, just as an exec board, if you decided that this is something you wanted to incorporate. It could even be incorporated in your very goals as an organization. So maybe you just want people to feel really grateful for the things that they do have and allow them to express those feelings throughout the semester. So it could be goal setting. You could assign asynchronous work and daily reflections for your members. Again, this isn't homework by any means. This isn't babysitting by any means. It's just really getting interactive with your members and giving them a really nice thing to do outside of class and member nights and events and meetings all the time. So I think something that's great is, encouraging members to keep a little bit of a journal or some sticky notes and just write down some things that make them feel grateful. And you could even go over these in a highs and lows type of format. For those of you who don't know, a high and a low is basically expressing a brighter moment of your day, your life, however you want to catalog it. And then a low is considered something that has not been so great in terms of experiences for you. So you could even incorporate that gratitude and that gratefulness into your highs and lows as well. But just know that it looks different depending on who you are as a person. There is no right way of going about it. These are just a couple of ideas for you all to consider. So that's great. So we're grateful. Again, this is just a little quote that I found that really spoke to the importance of promoting joy and happiness in your overall organization. This is from motivational speaker Amy Collette, and she said, "Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It's the spark that lights a fire of joy in your soul, which I couldn't agree more with. And I think that's why I wanted to mention gratitude so much, is because your organizations could benefit from an uplifting and positive attitude, especially in these given circumstances that are not necessarily so positive and so given to us. It's really something that we found ourselves in. So I think happiness is really key to help your members out with. So highlighting members, this is again the final piece of the puzzle piece. Just how do we keep our members really interested in coming back and staying engaged in these Zoom calls? And I think that this could look different in a couple of ways. So I think just again, like how you're setting time to talk about gratitude, talk about practicing it, as well as taking time to have fun, demo a couple of icebreakers, doing a couple of team bonding activities. I think you should also be doing the same when it comes to highlighting and recognizing your members for their contributions. I think it's important that with these contributions that you're really specific with what you enjoyed most about it as you move forward, so that you can really allow other members to pick up on what was so successful, so that they can try to replicate the same success and really benefit the organization as a whole. So again, this can also be rewarding and encouraging further behavior, like what the person did for the future. I think this also goes hand in hand with something else that I found has been really great for us as a sorority, Phi Sigma Sigma sorority. We have done awards and superlatives every semester, mostly every spring semester when fourth year students or seniors are graduating. So it's been great. It's been really super personalized to highlight people for their contributions and what they really bring to the table as leaders and as people. So definitely don't overlook this. Again, why is it so important? I think there's a lot of reasons to answer this question, but overall it just shows that you care as an exec board. So just like how I was saying with gratitude and practicing those moments to take time for fun and levity, I think it's very essential, and it establishes your credibility as an exec board that you care about them, not just as people, but not just as members, but as people in general with thoughts and feelings and experiences that they've all gone through. It also establishes the expectations of your particular organization. I think you'll find that if you set these boundaries upright and if you decide to motivate members, the best way to do that is really by engaging as fast as you can with the expectations that you have through these particular kind of moments when you compliment people. That's why you have to get specific and really kind of say why you appreciate it in the first place and why you want them to continue to do the same things, and maybe also motivate other members to do the same kind of things. Again, you're boosting group morale, and you could possibly reach your goals quicker and faster if you really stuck to this model of trying to actually highlight people and taking the time to recognize their contributions. They'll feel really valued and appreciated at the end of the day. So just like Michael Scott, we want to make sure that we are taking every opportunity that we can to highlight those people and talk to them for why they were so great in the first place. Want to keep people doing it. All right, so let's continue, shall we, with for the second section. So again, this is part of talking about healthy, empathetic communication, as well as how much good organization can play in the overall effectiveness of a club or organization and the revitalization. So again, I think there's really two ways that I can see to help engage members. So I would say that the first piece is empathetic leadership. So again, we'll talk about that more as we go on, but empathy, again, is another buzzword that people have been using, but it's really just the importance of showing kindness and compassion, and again, a sense of understanding towards all of your members, especially the ones that have been going through difficult times, maybe struggling with payment, maybe struggling with some outside things going on that needs to be addressed. So just kind of talking about our ways to communicate, our ways to interact with people, and what we should say and how we should respond sensitively is essential. And then that next piece is organization. So learning how to set really realistic goals, boundaries, as well as action items is quite essential to your group's prosperity. And just making sure that all the members are on the same page is absolutely vital. Just make sure that you don't miss anyone and that you are kind of doing the common decent thing to keep everyone together. I think those two pieces, again, really go hand in hand, and we'll talk more about what that is. So try a little empathy. As this little buddy is saying to the right of me, you're doing really well given the circumstances. And I think that this needs to be something like this, as cute as it is, I think it also needs to come from the mouths of executive boards. Just know that you are also humans. You are all not robots designed to work 24 hours of the day. You deserve to have time to yourselves to grieve things, to think about things. But yeah, so what does empathy look like? What does empathetic leadership look like? It absolutely trickles down to your communication. If you're having a problem with someone, if you have any form of conflict, if you have something that you're interested in asking, whatever the case may be, even if you're on a friend to friend basis, I think it's important to have that sense of open communication so that you can be as honest as possible and really just be able to relate to each other as normal human beings. Within this, also mental health check-ins have been absolutely crucial to do as well. So we will talk about this in a couple of our other slides, but check-ins have been something that I've seen are really successful for student leaders and their members. I think it just shows for members that you as an exec board care, again, just like I said in my reasoning for why. And you're also uplifting their voices and getting their input. So you're really just a person for the people when you decide to uplift people's voices and give them a platform to speak on. And just, kind of having one-on-one conversations, could be over FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, you name it, just text messages in general. You could be having those conversations of, what they expect, out of themselves, but do it in a way that is empathetic and understanding as well. So again, why are we doing this? Why are we taking the time to be so empathetic? I think the most important aspect to consider is that you're creating stronger bonds between you and your members. It's going to want to keep them coming back time and time again. You're ensuring a sense of trust between the members and the executive board. You're promoting active listening. So it's not just for yourself to kind of employ, but it's also for your other members to really follow in suit. Just making sure that, they're doing everything they can to also do the same thing. And again, we all know how wonderful it feels when someone is actively listening to us. They're in the conversation, they're nodding, they're making eye contact. These things that you definitely can't take for granted over Zoom are essential now more than ever before. It really, I also think, guides a sense of understanding as well about the expectations of what it means to be an empathetic person and to be there for one another. And I think when you set the bar and the precedent for other members, for a particular member, all other members are going to follow in suit. It's just how it works. And overall, the most important thing I think is infusing a little bit of joy, optimism, a little laugh here or there to really make an impact. So yeah, now that we've done empathy, kind of the second biggest, largest piece I think we'll talk about is organizations and really realistic goals that we're setting for ourselves as a club or organization, exec board. Because let's be honest, you can't do it all as much as you would really want to. Again, we're not robots. We are full-time students. Some of us are paying to get ourselves through school. There's many outside factors to consider. But with organization, just making sure that you have calendar invites, that you have meetings, events, activities, guest speakers listed, you have due dates for your surveys or forms. Again, this is something that I found has been so successful, but with FiSig, my executive board wonderfully created a system where they would post things to their Facebook group that were Excel spreadsheets they wanted us to fill out, t-shirt size forms, things like that. But then at the very end of the post, they would include a due date for us to respond by. And there were smaller consequences for us not showing up to those things as a result. So I think that the onus and the accountability was on us to make sure that we are following surveys and forms, completing them on the time that our group needs them, but also attending my meetings and making sure that I get to take time off if necessary. So again, also within this is making and creating and sending out Outlook invites or even iCalendar invitations. Again, when you are forming your calendar, I think it's very important to be able to share that with other people to know what their schedules are like going on. I think you're also setting really realistic action items in the process when you're going about an organization rehaul. So especially reprioritizing yourselves in a COVID world, what does that look like? Were you guys used to doing everything in person? Do you even think that there is a way to do those things in person? Which I must answer, and the answer is yes. But again, why are we going through the trouble of doing all these things in the first place? So I'm really glad that you asked, actually. So I think the most important thing is that we really want to establish a sense of clarity and sincerity and stability for many of our members. Um, I think it also holds the executive board accountable, not just for members, but also for ourselves, because it shows that we need to get resources out for members. We need to be there as much as possible. Again, not like babysitters, but just as a job where you really do care about the other individual. So we have that, and also for meeting deadlines and things like that. Google surveys and forms is a great tool to really add that due date for people to kind of refer back to. And at the end of the day, members, like I said, can take off from work. They can allot for availability if they need to. Whatever works, they'll have a balance of both. And then I think finally as well, you're really just establishing a sense of trust between you and the members, which I think is crucial now more than ever before, especially in an online environment. Like, these people are going to want to show up for you because they know you, they know your character, they know your willingness to really participate, do icebreakers, do these activities to really get the best out of them. So if they know that you're going the extra mile to do that, even if they are strangers, I think they'll feel more inclined to actually come to other meetings as well. So just definitely something to consider. But honestly, at the end of the day, just know that we're here for you. There are 13 other leadership consultants that are here to help you. I don't just specify in Greek letter organizations, I do it all. So we have active office hours throughout the semesters. Again, feel free to access our YouTube channel. I hope that you learned a little bit of something about member engagement today. Again, just taking time, scheduling time. This doesn't necessarily have to be something that you do that is forced. Or takes up too much time in addition to all the other meetings and events that you have going on. It could just be a small sliver and incorporated piece into what you're already doing so that you can make some time for fun, practice some gratitude, get some little joy and optimism, as well as highlighting your members. And again, a big piece of advice is just being as empathetic and as understanding as you can. If anything goes wrong, definitely just blame it on the pandemic and this weird COVID semester. Just know that anything that you try out, I commend you for, and all of us in our office commends you as well. And I think within that, just knowing it's important to stay organized and on top of things. And when you think about long-term plans and planning events throughout the semester, just know that there's many more factors than ever before to have to consider for an online environment. So just think about that. But our offices are here for you, and we are an active resource. But thank you all so much for joining me today virtually, and I hope that you find our resources very informative for the upcoming semesters as you go throughout this journey. But yeah, thank you so much.